Hi, people. How are you? Just giving you a few minutes to get on. I can't wait to talk to you guys about tiered pricing. I'm just sharing this out in a couple of groups and pages. Yes, Yontele, let's get into it. I can't wait. Okay. Happy New Year to you too. Y'all, let me tell y'all something. Pricing is like my favorite topic to talk about because it involves money. Okay? It involves money. And I'm not gonna lie, in 2019, I need all of my money. I need all my coins. Every piece. Every piece. Let's get into it. Okay? I need. So let me share this out to one other place and then we will get started. Let's see. Okay. So I have my trusty notebook here, full of notes. Can't wait for you guys to see what we're going to talk about today. How are you? Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. It is, I think, the third day. Today is Thursday. It's the third day of January. I've been living that good. Yes, I did sleep a lot yesterday and on New Year's Day, not going to lie. So let's jump right into it. Tiered pricing. What is it? If you guys have an idea of what tiered pricing is, what you think it is, let me know in the comments. And also feel free to share this out on your timeline. Let the people know that, listen, they need to come and get this knowledge because we need all our money in 2019. And a huge part of that is tiered pricing. And I've actually changed or adjusted a couple of my pricing structures to make sure that I'm actually utilizing this method. And of course, I will share my results with you all, right? So tiered pricing is when you have multiple price points, okay? You have multiple price points and the price points are based on need and budget of your audience, okay? Now, why is it important to have tiered pricing, okay? And the word tiered obviously comes from, let's say, a 3-tier cake, right? So there's 3 different levels. Usually the bottom tier is the biggest, and then the middle tier is a little bit smaller, and then the top tier is a little bit smaller than the middle tier, right? So that's just to give you a visual idea of what tiered pricing is. So there are a couple of really good reasons why you should use tiered pricing, okay? Now, I realized that I was sitting in front of a blackboard, a whiteboard, and so I decided to just give the basics behind me, right? So there's a couple of different reasons why tiered pricing works. The first reason is it allows you to serve more people in your audience. Remember, I didn't say serve everybody. You're never trying to serve everybody, because if you try to talk to everybody, you will talk to no one, okay? Because I might be having that issue, but because of how you're speaking to me, I can't relate. So I'm not interested in your product or service. Whereas if you were speaking to somebody like me, if I actually fall into your target audience, I'm going to pay attention to your ad. I'm going to pay attention to your content. I'll pay attention to your social media pages because it feels like you are talking to me. You are using the language that I use when I describe my problems or my situations or what I need to get addressed, right? So when you have tiered pricing, it allows you to service more of your audience, number one, okay? Because you can have an audience, but not everyone in that audience is able to afford the same level of products or service that you provide, okay? Especially if you have an audience that is price sensitive, okay? And price sensitive mean that if you go up by $5, a lot of them may leave and go and buy from someplace else. That's what price sensitive means. They are sensitive to whenever you lower or raise your price, especially raise your prices, okay? Now, the second reason is it gives you a chance to increase your revenue base. Let me give you an example. If you're selling a product at $35, okay, and then you sell your next tier maybe $75, then your next tier is $150. Now you will have people who would buy that $35 product and people who will buy the $75 products or service and the people who will buy the $150, right? So now you get the opportunity to make money off of all three of those levels, okay? And that's called basic, standard, and premium. Okay, that's, I don't know if that's on the left or right for you, but it's on this side here. That's basic, standard, and premium, okay? That is tiered pricing. There are a lot of people who do a 2-level pricing, but they really encourage you, experts really encourage you to use 3 levels of pricing, okay? And I'm going to break down exactly why that is. So the third reason is why you need tiered pricing is because it actually pushes more people to buy your standard package or buy your standard product. Now, you may say, Shana, that doesn't make sense. I want people to buy premium from me. Yes, I get it. I get it. Except the reality is that you will more than likely have people who are more willing to spend at their standard price than they are willing to spend at premium. Okay? And then perception wise, and I'll talk about it later, there are a lot of people like they don't want basic. Even if it's just for ego reasons, they don't want basic. They don't want you to think they're basic. They don't think they deserve basic. So they will take the standard, right? And so what happens is having 3 tiers actually pushes people into your middle tier pricing. Okay. Now, here's the key to that though. You have to be priced properly. If you are severely underpriced at your standard, you're still going to be stressed out. You're not going to be making enough money, right? And I will tell you something. There are infopreneurs who make the bulk of their money off of something called tripwires. Okay, that's TRIPWIRES. Tripwires. Okay, what's a tripwire? Have you ever signed up for a person's email newsletter? And you sign up for the newsletter, you sign up for the workbook, the freebie workbook that they're giving, the free lesson, whatever it is. You sign up for it, and then you hit confirm with your name and your email address. And they say on the next page, the confirmation page, thank you so much. Your free workbook will be delivered to your inbox shortly. However, if you need further help on this ebook is available for purchase only on this page for $14 or for $7. Once you navigate away from this page, you are not able to claim this special price. Okay, that's called a tripwire. Because now you have someone who is a warm or hot lead, someone who's very interested in you, in your brand, in what you have to offer, and you have them captive on your website. And now you're able to do a soft sell to them. Now you may say, well, $7 is not a lot of money. $14 is not a lot of money. It's a lot of money because that person created that product one time, that video one time, that ebook one time, that challenge one time, that series of whatever one time. And now can you imagine if they are selling 50 of those a day at $7? You do the math. I like doing math now. I always hated math, but you do the math. $7 times 50, that's $350 a day. Times 7 days in a week, that's $24.50 a week that they're making off of a $7 product. Multiply that by 4 weeks, that's almost $10,000 off of a $7 product. Okay? So it is very important that you have tiered pricing. That $7 or $14 product can be considered basic, right? And so when that person now, they get your freebie, it's a value, okay? And then they maybe went ahead and bought your 14 or your $7 product, okay? And they say that your tripwires should be no more than $14. But on average, tripwires usually cost $7, okay, for the customer. So you give them that tripwire product. Great value. They're blown out of the water. Oh my God, I got all this information. It was so valuable. It only cost me $7. So now when you want to sell someone on a live webinar, your standard could be $47. And then if they want to have a one-on-one call with you, that one-on-one call could be $150, $200. See, at every price point, basic, standard, and premium, they got value. And it's perceived value to the customer. You know you're giving value, or you should know that you're giving value, right? It's important that the customer perceives that they are getting value. So what happens is a person can go on the website and see that a coaching call one-on-one is $150, right? That's a premium product, okay? But before they get there, they're like, oh, I'm not quite sure about this person yet. I'm not sure that I want to spend that much money. Let me buy their webinar for $47. I could afford that. That $197 is steep right now, but I could afford that $47. I'm going to find that money. Okay? So that's where you push, that's where your premium pushes people to your standard price. That's called anchor pricing, which is over here, right? Anchor pricing or anchoring price, very, very important, okay? So tiered pricing, so I already gave you guys the example, right? So let me give you a real life example. Let's say you're not an infopreneur, okay? Let's say you don't live in the digital world, okay? So let's say you're a chef, okay? You're a chef and you provide meal prep, okay? Now we're gonna take out that you do, special, we'll take out that you do catering for events and whatever, right? You do strictly meal prep for this example. Now you may do meal prep weekly, $210, okay? Quarterly, you may charge $750. So the person will save overall, they will save about $90, okay? And then let's say quarterly, you charge $1,900, and then they save $350 if they pay you for 3 months instead of 1 month, okay? So here's the thing. I might look at it and I might say, I don't have $1,900 right now to pay for 3 months of meal prep. However, it would be easier for me to find $750 to pay monthly. Yes, I know I may be saving money if I pay for 3 months in advance, but in my mind, and again, guys, when you think of pricing, you have to think of perception, and you have to go through the process of how your customer, how your audience, how your client thinks, okay? It's very important that your people don't compare you to other people. What you want your people to do is compare your pricing amongst itself. Okay, you want to take out your competitors completely. There's lots of people now who are doing meal prep. Okay, you don't care about them. You don't want your customers to care about them. What you want them to care about is your basic, your standard, and your premium price. Okay, so the standard price in the case of the meal prep chef is the monthly price. You want the difference in pricing between all your different tiers to be noticeable. You want the value between your different tiers to be noticeable. Okay? There should be a noticeable value difference between me spending $750 in a month and me paying $1,900 for a quarter. Whether that be I get the more premium cut, if I pay almost 2 grand up front, I get the best cut of beef, grass fed beef. I may get no chemical chicken, you know, like the choice cuts of everything. Okay. And maybe I get in like a few extra meals per month, however it is, but the value has to be there for the customer to justify them paying that premium price or paying the difference between standard instead of basic. Okay. So number 3, first of all, we talked about tiered pricing, what it is and why you need it. Secondly, we talked about how your premium pricing should really push people to your standard price, which is a good thing, especially if you price correctly. And 3, we're going to talk about what we do as consumers in our minds. And I started to talk about it earlier. It's all about value for the customer. It's all about value for the audience, okay? You don't want people to shop around when it comes to you to compare your price to someone else, okay? You have to show your value in your presentation, and that's even before people spend money with you, okay? If you're going to position yourself as this high value meal prep, because listen, the reality is the prices I just called off for $210, that's minimum wage for somebody. And you spending that on food per week. Okay. So that already tells you the level of person that you're dealing with, right? That's someone with a lot of disposable income who can spend that much money on food per week, a person's salary. Okay. Which means that you can't look janky. You cannot look janky. You have to look high end. Okay. You need to have you can have a website, or even if you don't have a website, because I know someone who's doing pretty well in meal prep. She has no website. She has very little online presence. Her advantage, however, is she built a relationship with these people based on where she worked previously. And so what happened is she ended up taking some of their clients. I mean, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. And it's not because she wanted to take them. It was because they were so attached to her. They were so attached to the level of and the quality of her food that they said, you know what, wherever you go, we'll go with you. Right. And that became her clientele. She doesn't advertise and she doesn't need to. Right. Of course, she can if she really wants to really expand and grow. But initially, she left the job and she had clients immediately. Right. So you want people to see your value before they pay a dime to you. And that means that, if you don't have relationship with these people already, offline in real life, then if you're advertising and trying to attract customers and clients to you, and I want to stick a pin in that for a second and say there's a reason why I say customers and clients. Those are two very different things, okay? A customer is someone who either pays a fairly low amount to you, like a basic, or they don't, you deal with them for a very short period of time. Like you walk into a bakery, you buy a cake, it's the first time you've heard of them, but you liked the sign outside, or you were feeling like you wanted something sweet to eat. You walk in, you spend $35 on a cake and you never go back. That's a customer. Okay. A client is someone who may be like, listen, I, like myself, I'm a wedding planner. I do weddings regularly. I push all my brides to you. You handle my people no matter how short notice I give you. That's a client. That's someone who pays X amount of money, who brings you X amount of money, and you're dealing with them long term. Okay, there's a different level of investment between a customer and a client. That's why I use those two different words. They are not interchangeable. They are not the same. Okay, but you're spending if you are that chef, that meal prep chef, you're asking someone to give you $2,000 almost per quarter. Your online presence needs to be amazing. You need to have a beautiful website. You need to have amazing stock photos. You need to be plating your food nicely and taking high quality pictures for social media, okay? We eat with our eyes. That's just human beings, we're visual. We eat with our eyes. If you don't care about how you plate the food and you're taking pictures with low quality, who's going to buy from you? I'm not going to look at your website and think that I should spend $2,000 for that. Heck no. I might hear that your food is bomb, but guess what? I'm not spending $2,000 for something that doesn't taste and look good. The two have to go together, right? So when you have tiered pricing, your choices, because now you give people choices. Okay, if someone comes to you and says, listen, I want you to do this thing for me. Oh, well, this is all I do, and this is how much it costs. It makes it really easy for that person to shop around. Versus if you say, well, these are the 3 things I offer. And I'm not talking about a store like a Kelly's who has like 50, 100, however many different items and variations of items and brand of items. I'm talking about you are a solopreneur, you're a side hustler, you're a small business, and you have your niche, okay? You have your niche and you are servicing your audience, okay? You have those 3 things and you want to make sure that you give your people choices, because the more choice you give them, but I'm not saying give them 10 choices. Ideally, it's 3, and they're more likely to stick with you and just stick to making a choice within your 3, because you gave them choices in pricing and choices in quantity and choices in quality. Okay, so number 4. And I already talked about that before, the need for basic, standard, and premium pricing. Okay, so you can do it one of 2 ways. There's different levels. Okay, basic, standard, premium, or you can do packages. So let's say as a graphic designer, you do logos, strictly logos. That's one package. Number 2, you could do the total brand design. So that's the logo, the business card, the letterhead, and a brand board, okay, which shows the brand colors, the logo, the textures, the patterns, the typography, the fonts that you use in your brand. The third and premium package could be all of those things plus a custom website, okay? Depending on who your audience is, and again, still, you're more likely to have people ask for the standard, because for them, maybe they're not willing or able to pay for that premium package, although you will have some people who pay for premium, either because they can't afford it or because they are not basic or standard people, right? Sometimes it goes back to ego as well. There are some people who, even if they can or can't afford it, they don't do anything but premium. Like those people who will go somewhere and must have bottle service, not because it's necessary, they just feel like they need to have it. It could be like that too, right? But your pricing again should be so different between the tiers that you push most of your customers to standard, okay? And again, going back to what I said before, you may say, well, Shana, why you should want most people to pay premium. I get it. However, that's not real life. That's not real life, number 1. And number 2, your premium price should be so good and so high, again, based on your industry, based on the market, based on the value, most importantly, that you give, that it makes up for most people choosing standard. So you shouldn't feel a difference. You shouldn't feel like you're losing, okay? So the thing is, we have to remember value. And that's another thing that I will keep saying. The bigger the commitment, the more value that you have to give. Okay? You can't add a few more things from basic to premium and expect that people are going to pay you $1,000 more. You can't justify it. You have to be able to justify the price differences to your customer. Okay, that's an objection. One of the things that we have to get really good at in business is overcoming objections. That's an objection that someone can give to you. Okay, now let's use an example. Let's say with me, you all know that I'm also a wedding, especially event planner and designer, right? So let's say that let's say I charge $3,000 for my full planning service, okay? And then my next tier is 2,000, and then my next tier is 1,000. Well, I can't just say that I'm going to be on call for you um, from the basic to the standard, but I charge you $1,000 difference just because now I say I'm on call. You're gonna be like, so what if you on call for me? Like that justifies another $1,000. I'm not gonna need a whole $1,000 worth of calls to you. And I wouldn't be able to refute that. I would not be able to refute that, you know. So my bottom $1,000 and then, which is my basic, and then my standard price is 2,000. So now I have to say, okay, on top of what I'm doing for you with the basic package, I'm going to be on call for you. I will tend up to a certain amount of meetings with you for an hour. I will attend rehearsals with you. I will do venue visits with you up to a certain amount of hours. And then the client is like, okay, now I can see I'm paying for her time because now she's coming and she's holding my hand through certain things and she can ask questions that I don't know about. And, she will make sure that I ask the right questions and I get the answers I need. She can negotiate for me. Then it justifies the extra $1,000 cost. Again, value. I feel like I'm getting sick, y'all. My voice is feels tired all of a sudden. Okay, so like I said before, like people generally don't want basic, right? And that's why having an anchor price is really, really important. And the anchor price is the premium price. So the anchor price, of course, is based on perception and value. All pricing is based on perception and value. What the anchor pricing does, which is your premium tier, is it will be the price that the rest of your prices are compared to. That's why it's an anchor. So if I charge $3,000 for my top premium tier wedding planning and design, everything else that I say to them, they're going to come back to, okay, what's that in comparison to the $3,000? What's the difference between what I get at this level and the $3,000 package? Is it worth it? Do I really want the $3,000 package? There are some people who will pay the $3,000 package, but there are more people who will pay the $2,000 package, the middle package, because, hey, they don't quite want the premium or they don't want to pay for the premium. But paying $2,000 is more palatable. It's more doable in their mind than paying me $3,000. Okay? That's anchor pricing. That's the secret of anchor pricing. One of the things as business owners that we have to do is we have to study pricing. We have to study sales strategy. We have to study the human mind and how it thinks. Okay? Because what we may think is fair, someone else or some other people may be like, why would I pay that? So now you have to know how to position yourself in the market, position yourself in the industry that you're in to explain to people in a way that makes sense to them, that overcomes their objections to your pricing or to what you are offering. Okay. Um, and you should do such a good job of it. And you should know your audience so well that you can speak their language and talk to them to overcome those objections and to show the value in the way that they would perceive it, that they won't have a problem paying the price. Okay. I want to say a word of caution to people who work with people who are price sensitive. Okay. Um, my word of caution is don't do it. That's honestly my word of caution is really like don't do it. Because people are price sensitive, people who will never pay you more than the basic price, many of them are headaches. That's the easiest way I can say it. Many of them will give you more headache versus someone who paid a premium price. Because someone who paid the premium price is more likely to understand the value of what it is that you're doing, and they trust that you are the expert, so they're not going to micromanage you or have like unreasonable expectations. And number three, as well, they may actually ask you to do more because they see the value of what you're doing, right? Versus the person who is price sensitive, who will only always be willing to pay basic. They may come back and say, you know what, like, I know this is your package, but I don't need all that. Like, you can't like take out some of the cost because yeah, I know I need this, but I don't need the other three things in this package, so I shouldn't have to pay for the other three things. But that's your lowest package and they want you to go lower, and then they will give you hell for that one thing that they want you to do. Like I said, word of caution, please don't do it. You know, again though, you have to know your audience. Okay, and you have to understand too that not everyone is worth working with, especially if you are someone who, the way your business is set up, you have to be very hands on. It's not like in the first example I gave, like an infopreneur who can push people to online and push people to ebooks and workbooks that are very hands off. You create it once, you put it up, people buy it, that's it. Or webinars where you hold that webinar once, you teach 100 people, you make all that money. If you're having to actually work with people one-on-one, don't work with price sensitive people. It's not going to be worth your time. It's not going to be worth the headache that is going to happen. Okay. So yeah, that was most of what I wanted to talk to you all about when it comes to why you need tiered pricing. Okay. Now, December 27th, I posted a video. It spoke about, do you really need a location? Okay, and that was with D'Angelo Swaby. He is the owner and instructor for the Bahamas Aviation Institute. That was a really good video. You guys should go and watch it because I know that a lot of people, it's 2019, we want to hit our goals. Some of us have goals that includes getting a physical location, okay? And so we talked about, do you really need a location, and the ramifications of really needing a location. And I can tell you now, if you decide that you're going to get a location, your pricing has to be on point because you don't have room for error. Your rent is going to be due, your utilities are going to be due. You're more than likely going to be locked into a contract, okay? And especially even more so if you have a lease or a contract where the owner of the space is not responsible for fixing things in the space, like the AC, and other things that may go wrong. And so now, what if the AC conks out? And literally, we talked about that in this video. I have friends who spent thousands of dollars trying to fix the AC that belonged to the owner of the building that they were renting. And in the lease, it said that they are not responsible for fixing the AC. The AC was on its last leg when they moved in. They didn't realize it. Ended up spending thousands of dollars. These are the things, the contingency things that many of us don't think about. We just want the space. We have to really think about, can we afford the space? Okay. So on another note, Tremaine and I of Biz Tea and Lime, if y'all aren't part of that group, Biz Tea and Lime, look it up. That's BIZT, like sips tea. I do have my tea here. And Lime. Look it up on Facebook and like the page and join the group. We are hosting a Biz Tea and Lime workshop on January 26th. And the workshop is all about gaining visibility and profitability in 2019. Okay, so I think a lot of you would be interested in that. Specifically, my part of what I'll be talking about, of course, like I started off with, I love talking about pricing. I love talking about pricing. I love talking about pricing because I like money. I don't love money. I like making money. I love when other people make money, you know. And so we're going to talk about that. Like, how do you hit your money goals? How do you even figure out what your money goals are? Okay. And creating a profitability plan for 2019. So keep your eyes glued to this page for that announcement for the time, but it will be Saturday, January 26th. We're just trying to confirm the time. The cost will not be that much. We're thinking 35 to keep it very, very much manageable, but you do need to be in the Biz Tea and Lime group in order to take advantage of that very, very deep discounting, okay? And it's only for Biz Tea and Lime persons in the group, and if they decide to bring a person, okay? So thank you guys so much for watching. I will be back again. I love popping up on you guys with lessons, whether that's in the lunch hour or in the night. I'm unpredictable in that way, okay? So thank you, and I will see you again. My name is Shana Etchcom, and I did not introduce myself at the beginning, but I am a creative consultant, and I believe in helping creatives, solopreneurs, small business owners get organized in business so that they can get paid what they are worth. Okay, that's me. So if you want to see a bit about what I talk about, what my focus is, you can always visit my website. It is www.trepadventures.com. I need to get back to posting more articles and blogging because there's so much to talk about in the world of business. But I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much.